Hi, welcome everyone to another episode of Let's Talk Special Economic Zones. I'm your host, Ainsley Brown. In today's episode, we're going to talk about special economic zones as an asset class. Now, this um, topic came to me in a very roundabout way, and I did a little research and tried to find, since there are so many zones and zones have proliferated all over the world, and they're everywhere on every continent except for Antarctica, of course. It's an aside. Uh, you know, there are thousands of zones all over the world, and zones are involved in about 40% of global trade, goods trade. And I'm sure when you include services, it's much more. And, so zones represent a very significant portion of economic activity globally. And they're a key or critical policy instrument that governments use all over the world. Yet, I have not found, and I could be wrong, but I have not found where zones are looked at as an asset class in and of itself. And there could be many reasons. One of the reasons I think for it is because zones are basically real estate. And also zones, there's not a universal definition of a zone. And, you'll find different names: special economic zones, free zones, enterprise area, industrial parks, technology parks. It's wide ranging. I think that's part of the issue. There is a lack of that concrete definition. Although zones tend to have certain connected features, or zone regimes have a certain connected features, with, again, with variations within them. So that causes part of the problem. Another area is, again, because it is real estate. It is a development. How do you distinguish that from, just a plaza being developed, a commercial space being developed? And in some areas where there is residential areas within the zone, how do you differentiate that from a residential development with certain level of commercial activity involved, or even recreational spaces? Because even um, some zones are tourism focused in some jurisdictions, or have elements of tourism within it. So there is that, I think, a bit of challenge in terms of just definition. However, I think that looking at zones as an asset class presents tremendous value in many respects, because you could bundle zones together within one jurisdiction or in multiple jurisdictions, particularly where there is some level of a governance structure, like, for example, the European Union. Several countries within the European Union have zones. You could bundle those and present those zones as a asset, that people can buy equity into, or even, debt. You could finance debt in that way. Uh, in addition, even across jurisdictions, you could bundle different zones together. And I think it goes beyond just simply financing, in terms of just looking at it. And I will tell you, the inspiration for this came from a friend of mine who, in Canada, who just, as part of a team, published a paper on labs, and, life sciences, and the connected labs connected to life science industry, and labs being an asset class. You don't really think about them that way, but really they are. And there are different things that can happen, in terms of, how people own these assets, and from listing on the stock exchange to other things that can happen. So this is a worthwhile area that I'm going to be doing a little bit more research in, I think, and I think a little bit more writing, because I think, it's worthy of exploration. And um, shifting the viewpoint, when you look at things from a different angle, a lot more opportunities I think can arise, especially for zones, um, and even and another issue I just thought about, another issue is because zones, you have a mixture of private sector running and controlling and owning zones, plus you have governments that also run and operate and own zones. And in some jurisdictions, it's only the government that owns and operates the zones, while in others, it is a mixture of the two. So imagine trying to mix all of that together in one in one thing. That can pose some challenges, but it's not an insurmountable challenge. And I think if we start to look at it that way, I think some opportunities are going to pop up in ways that we weren't thinking about, especially on the capital side of things, whether it be financing equity or debt, or restructuring zones, or financing, even supporting infrastructure, roads, ports, airports, all of that. We can look at things in a different way in terms of how you bundle things together and make your country, because you could do it from a country perspective, or your region, if you combine in a regional block like the EU, as I said, or CARICOM in the Caribbean, zones together, and bundle them so there's joint investment across jurisdictions. That would be a very interesting angle to explore, which I will in the future. So if you like or this episode, please, or my other content, please like, share, and subscribe. If you want to see me do a particular episode, please, leave me a comment down below, and I will get right back to you.